You put the help you. Fuck what they go to put the money. But even if I see the money, I get it like Brent put a good thing. Because Ali and I see them carrying it in Europe. Some point in the country, all government are in eligible interest. That's the money. But we still have no money. The small money will go to our people there and go pay for the small invest. I can't pay how in one country invest. So I'm going to tell the money I carry to Ghana, correct? But one country get it on a minimum. I will take it from you, Gary. No. And I'll leave it here.
Yes.
The day God take me, I will carry her with me. No. Our grandchildren will kind of see the ones there, but what kind of looking for? They go book pound there. So these are the things we'll be doing. I just want to say thank you to Paul for doing what he's doing. What the young man doing, he's just doing a part. One day will not be represented. But
this country is not about education. It's about what the Liberian people need. Our needs and wants. The leader that can provide all the best praise, look at your homes, look at your villages. You are living in huts. A book and English can develop country. Liberia is supposed to be the best country in the world.
you put the help you. Fuck what they go to put the money. But even I've seen him when I get a brand for a good thing. Because Ali and I see them carrying in Europe. Some point in the country, all government are in eligible interest. That's the money. But we tell no money, the small will go to our people there, go pay for the small invest. I can't pay how in one country invest. So I was about to tell the money I carry to Ghana, correct? But one country get it hard at me, I will take it from you, Gary. Then I'll leave it here.
Yes.
The day God take me, I will carry her with me. Our grandchildren will kind of see the ones there, but what kind of looking for? They go book power all there. So these are the things we'll be doing. I just want to say thank you to for doing what he's doing. What the young man doing, he's just doing part. One day will not be represented. But
And as my political career advanced, I've always been there with strong support for me. I say to you, my Muslim brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. I want to say that I've heard you. My ears are wide open, and I've heard that you said. Rest assured that you will get an answer from me. You will get one very soon. Inshallah. My fellow partisans.
All right, folks. There are no folks here yet. I know that. I'm fully aware of that. But there will be other sometime very soon. Very soon. I just got reminded of that Christian song. So other very soon there will be folks now or later, but at some point in time. So permit me to say, folks, greetings to you, to all of you, would be viewers. Is that the right way to say it? Viewers. Yes, correct. Permit me to greet you. Permit me to greet you. See, people keep calling like somebody. If I didn't know any better, I'd probably think that somebody is, well, no better than that. You know, why would they sit down right at the very moment ready to have a show and they just start calling? Anyway, I can't take the call right now. You know how Facebook works. So I want to greet all of you. Good afternoon, good morning, good day, good night, depending where you'll be seeing the video. Hopefully, I guess the video will get seen in many, many places on many different continents. On different continents, I meant to say, and in many different countries. Correct, that's what I meant to say. Anyway, so my name is Kafumba Kroma, as some of you may know. Some of you that will be joining us later will get to know. And I'm the producer, the creator, and the host of the Liberian Diaspora Forum weekly talk show. A show that has made its name in time past, and I'm really struggling to find time to come and relive the show. I'm struggling with time. I'm really, really short of time. I tell you what, like, if I told you that this is the fourth, or at least the third Sunday, I've struggled to have a show here, but it just hasn't been working out. It's been one thing or the other from different weeks, different days of the week. Usually we like to have show on the weekends anyway. So, but the weekends is what I'm talking about. That's what's been really, really tight for me. I know a week before the last week, I had really planned to have a great show. I was going to talk about some common sense issue, integrity, um, especially as it relates to Africa and Liberia specifically. Because when you look at our situation, when you really think about the situation we are fixed with in Africa in general, Liberia in particular, a lot of our issues come down to lack of integrity, sincerity, honesty, in both our leaders as well as the citizens themselves, even the young ones. Our children who are growing up, they too, unfortunately, are growing up at a time when integrity, dignity, respect for the rule of law, sincerity, hard work are all lacking in our society. They are growing up at a time when everybody is trying to take a shortcut to riches, shortcut to success. And as a result, people are going beyond, above and beyond, to do whatever they can do, to get whatever they can get. And proudly so. What's even worse is when they do, we come back and applaud them for doing it, no matter how they did it, no matter how terrible, no matter how corrupt, no matter how they deprive the nation and its citizenry out of deserving resources. It doesn't matter. We come back and celebrate them. We do. You heard in the words of Magay, the short video I just played, or I played earlier at the start of the show, when by his own admission, his own confession, talking about if he steal the money and bring it to the Liberian people, he's not doing a bad thing. That's what the man said. Except to prepare my family for a journey to Africa. Alhamdulillah, they are in Africa now, having a great time. And the week before that, I had the privilege of hosting Minister Mohamed Kroma over here in Minnesota at my family residence. The week after those 2 weeks, last week, just when I was planning to have a show, we got invitation to be a part of the opening ceremony of one of our good brother, in person of Ibrahim Toure and his wife, who have purchased their first home. So we were invited to go to the house opening ceremony. I did a live video there. I hope some of you saw that. If you haven't, please check my page. See their house. It's truly beautiful. It's a very beautiful house. And then today, this very week that we're in, this Sunday, I'm not going to be here long because, like I said, it's been really busy. And this week is no exception. Usually when I want to have show, I tend to come much later on Sundays, 6 o'clock, my preferred time, 6 to 8, something like that. But I'm sitting here 2 p.m. Because I'm not going to be here. I won't be here. So I don't even have much time to sit here because, again, we have another community engagement to attend to. And so I'm going to be here certainly less than 2 hours, maybe an hour at most, an hour and a half if I can. That will be really stretching it. And then off to Brooklyn Center. I'll be on my way to a very important meeting for our community. The meeting is concerning a masjid. The planning. We are in the planning stages, fundraising stages of trying to acquire a masjid, inshallah. So I have that meeting lined up. So I do have to go to that. That's very important. You would agree. Important not only for this life, but certainly for hereafter. And how much more can you ask for? So that's the menu. That's the menu for today. So I'm not going to be here long, and I'm surprising you all coming this unusual time of the day, Sunday, because I really, really do have to run. And I promised myself and many friends, good friends and brothers, some die-hard loyalists, that I have to have a show today if it means doing it like some people usually do out of my vehicle, which I don't like to do because I can't take my platform with me. I probably could, but I found some safety issues with that. Not behind the wheel and then doing the show. God bless you. No, not that. I didn't mean that. I mean, I intend to have a very brief conversation. And this is a random conversation, right? Purely random because, like I said, the show that I really want to have, I've been planning to have the past 3 weeks now, and I haven't had time to do. Will come next week, inshallah, if time permits, and if I'm not as busy as I have been. And then I want to start that show with just talking integrity, because the people looking at the proliferation of talk shows out of the African community, African countries, Africa, and Liberia to be specific, the number of talk shows, and talk show hosts. It baffles me, to think that there are anything left to be discussed. We don't think about it. Like almost everybody on social media from Liberia has a platform of his or her own. That's a good thing, I guess. It makes you wonder. I mean, if talking could truly solve problems, shouldn't Liberia be the best country, among the best countries now? You would think. So we are talking. Our people are talking. Everybody is making the case one way or the other. Sometimes people are talking about the same things, but from different angle, different perspectives, right? Which is not bad. Some are for, some are against, pro, con, and some pretend or prefer, themselves to be neutral. So they think they are doing objective analysis of issues without siding with any side, whether it's the government, the opposition, the people, and you name it. What I've realized, though, is that we are also interested in talking about the big things, so much so that we are forgetting the little things. We are not talking about the little things, little I mean, I don't mean little in themselves, but basic things. Let me put it that way. Let me permit me to paraphrase, or retract little for, basic things. They are basic in the sense that a lot of the big things that everyone is talking about, a lot of the big things that we all seem to be concerned about, in my opinion, a lot of those things are, should be predicated upon the basic things. If you notice, foundational thing, so to speak. I mean, you can't have a beautiful house. You can't even have a house of any kind without a good solid foundation, right? Of course you can, but if you do, that house is not going to last. A house without foundation, you would agree with me, it's not meant to stay long. It's not. If you will. And yet, with all, it doesn't seem to bother anybody. We jump on the corruption. We jump on the government actions. We jump on, but all those things are inherently tied to, integrity. And integrity, when you really looked at it, it comes down to our basic outbringing, our view of society, our value as people, family values, individual values. But anyway, that's the show I've been planning to have for the past 3 weeks. I haven't had time, and I don't have time today either. I'm just giving you a gist of it. Hopefully next weekend, I won't have the meeting that I'm about to run to in the next couple, maybe 40 to 30 minutes here. So I don't have time to discuss that issue today the way I like to discuss it. So I'm just telling you that I've been planning this issue 3 weeks now to pick this show up, beginning with those basic things and many similar basic issues that we ought to remind our people, especially so as we near, as we near the 2023 elections. Because I know, when you have integrity, you have good values, all of those things can even translate into how you vote. So that's why we want to go back to the very basics, So, but inshallah, we'll have time next week. So now that Mohammed Krama has come and visited us and left, we gave him that weekend. And now that my wife and my son, their trip have been facilitated. Alhamdulillah, they are in Africa. Now, the last week, we teamed up with our brother to open his new house. We're done with that. And now that today, we have to go to that meeting that's waiting me in Brooklyn Park. A meeting concerning our people's desire to acquire a new mosque. That's a big meeting. It means a lot to me. And that's what I have today. And because of that, I'm not able to have a long show. I'm not even able to have the show at the usual time. That's why I'm coming up this high sun broad daylight, just to once again show my friends and fans that just as I promised, the LDF will come back, and it is coming back. And so I just want to show my face, right? So hopefully we'll talk. So we'll talk about that one next week, or if nothing else comes my way. So what do I want to spend my time with talking about briefly today? Some common sense issues, maybe not common sense for everyone. I like to begin, believe it or not, this will shock you. I like to begin by simply congratulating all of our high school graduates in the West. I'll tell you why. If you're not in the West, don't be offended. I'm about to tell you the reason. I'd like to begin by congratulating all of our high school graduates in the West. I want to particularly congratulate their parents, father, mother, uncle, nephew, their parents, those uh, who they live with, those who they stay with, those who look after them as they go through the wars of high school. Uh, I'm beginning with this because for a very long time I had this thing twisted. I've been very confused about what sort of graduation is worth celebrating? What kind of graduation is worth? Is it college? Which I've taught for many years, to the point that when I graduated from Monrovia College and Industrial Training School, MC, a school that some of you or would-be viewers later may not know, it was a very reputable, renowned high school in Liberia. I'm not sure if it still is. Probably it is. I don't know. But when I graduated from that, I refused to have any party. I refused. I remember I simply bought a crate of soft drink and drove around list of resources as people who are trying to, fool their kids, but making them feel that they have just, climb on top of the world, that they've learned that they don't need to go any further. I found that fear and I found that thought until probably maybe 6 months ago. I've taken a 360 turn on that view. Taking a 360 turn for the fact that today I am a firm believer in having the biggest graduation party for high school graduates, but mainly in America, in the West. Let me say so, in the West. Africa, not necessarily. And please don't be offended. To hear me out, I'll tell you the reason. Not necessarily in Africa, where we graduated from high school. I overlooked, frowned on people having high school graduation, because, like I said, I thought it was big, but I felt having such a big party had the propensity of discouraging the graduates themselves to pursue further education. To put it plainly, I thought college graduation was more worthy of celebration than high school. And I know some people still believe that, and that's fine if you believe so. I believed that for many, many years until I started experiencing what I'm about to tell you now. All right. Now, when we migrated here to the West, my view on graduation was the same. Uh, I feel that graduating from college should be celebrated more because it is truly, if not the end, but a midway journey to a very important journey. So my view changed now. As a parent, as a father to teenage high schoolers here in America, and as a former, uh, as a criminal justice practitioner, uh, I'm now of the opinion that a high school graduation in the West, believe it or not, should be more celebrated than even college. Why this? Why the change of mind all of a sudden? I've realized, both as a parent and also, in the line of my previous work, I have realized, I've understood, I've discovered the enormous challenges that our kids face in high school in the West, America specifically, where I live. If your child goes to school in America and graduate from high school in tight meaning that he or she did not follow bad influence, bad friends, didn't join gang, uh, my brother, that's cause for celebration. That's serious cause for celebration. Our children, when they go to high school, when they go to school in the West, when they go to school in America, many cities, to the point, even the private schools in America, because I've tried both public schools and private. Sexual, each other, one another. And for that very reason, that's where they also try to belong to different gang groups for quote unquote protection. Hey man. Now all of a sudden their parents now can't protect them in their mind. Well, of course, when you think about it a little deeper, there's some sense the parents are not in the school. They're not gonna be there when you're getting beat up by other group of kids. So issues like that will force them to join some other gang group or groups for protection. Almost like praising. It's like it reminds me when I really started thinking about the high school thing, I thought to myself, after having spent over a decade working at the praising and then a local high school setting, I'm thinking there's so many similarities. Because when you work in praising, right? When you go to any state or federal praising in America, one of the biggest challenges we had in praising was almost every inmate wanting to belong to some gang group in the praising. Yeah, somebody is already arrested, tried, convicted, charged, sentenced in prison. While they are in prison, they join new gang group because If they don't, there are others who are in group and they will beat them up. They will harass them. They will rape them. They will do so many unimaginable things to them. And officers now going to be everywhere. Look at the population of inmates to officers to staff. We're not going to be everywhere. We don't provide personal security for inmates, for anybody. We provide general security. We do rounds. We sit our eyes, our asses, behind. We do what we're supposed to do. Sometimes, as I like to say, we do the bare minimum, leaving the rest with you. So, because of those things, they are forced to form alliances. Some of these alliances, euphemism, right? Alliances basically just a fancy term for gang grouping. They join these different gang groups to protect them, so that if someone ever attacks them, their buddies in the gang group will join them to fight back. In prison, the same thing in high schools. Same things in high schools. So I'm starting the show with this high school to congratulating all of our young high school graduates in the West, those who made it out of the walls of high school successfully, their parents as well, because my friends, it's a big deal when your children go to high school in the West. Allow me to say in America specifically, where I live and I've understood. It's a big deal. I know firsthand the high schools around. Seriously challenged in school, in high school to be specific. They are seriously challenged. How many times have drug, and then you have drug dealers, grown men and women who will fence around high schools consistently because they try to recruit high school students because they understand, they know the law, they know enough to know that the law does not deal with teenagers in the same way that it deals with adults. So these good for nothing so called adults will spend enough time fencing around various high schools, almost in many major cities in America, trying to recruit high schoolers to do their dirty work. And they themselves will show them nothing will happen to you. This is the law, the law is blah, blah, blah. And they'll make promises to kids that you don't know. Have you noticed as our kids start to grow up, many of them, not every one of them, but many of them, the older they get, sometimes, the more they distance themselves from you. Because they try to find new company, new friends, and so on. I think this high school thing is worth having a whole conversation on it, and mostly inviting, professionals, high school counselors, parents who have their own experiences. But I know all of this I've said so far about high school and college. I meant to say that when your child graduates from high school, anywhere in the West, anywhere in America, please, please, you need to celebrate that. When they graduate in tight meaning, if they go to high school and graduate while maintaining significant, amount of their cultural values, they are still able to pray. They are still able to help out with the housework. They are still able to on and on and on. They didn't get carried away by drug dealers. They didn't get carried away by good for nothing pimp. That's worth celebration. You should celebrate that. Honestly, I would say we should celebrate that now, even more than college graduation. That's my opinion today. Almost opposite of what my opinion has been for many decades, which was that let's celebrate college grad. Why high school? High school is just a stepping stone. Let's wait till the kids graduate from college, then we can celebrate that. But if you celebrate high school graduation now, it'll be the kids will start thinking that he or she has arrived, that they've achieved everything. That's what I used to believe. Until recently, I really sat down and put some thoughts into this and see how much challenges the kids go through. If you have a teenage high schooler in your home, look at it. They don't even want to. Almost every day, they want to look. They want to get different clothing. They want to look the best because to the point where high schools are also beauty. For like more like beauty pageant going on there. Beauty pageant, king and queen contest. Kids are sagging. They all want to look big and bad. They want to look cool. That's where they experiment everything. Almost experiment drugs, experiment sex, experiment gang membership. Experiment. It's like a new grounds. I know. So anyway, I just meant to start the show with that. This is something. This is an issue now that is dear and near to my heart. And so I'll almost start most of my show with this high school graduation thing now, until I can, find time again to probably put a good panel together, a panel of parents, high school counselors or teachers, and even some recent high school graduates, so they can come and tell us some of the challenges they went through, some of the choices. who in Liberia, those of all who first, generation immigrants here, whether it's in Ivory Coast, Guinea, Liberia, Sierra Leone, the Gambia, where I also went to school, you don't hear about gang issue in high schools, in any schools for that matter. Not to mention firearm, gun that was taken from two kids at the homecoming event just this week. Now, I get that part. Of course, Liberia does not have Second Amendment like America, where everyone can just purchase firearm. But even without firearm, the whole gang thing centers pretty much around this drug, drug dealing, committing crimes, this total disregard for constitutional authority. It's a big deal. We should be thankful in Africa that we don't have that. And those of us who live in America, we should do everything we can to encourage our kids, to support them. And when we see them graduating from high school, I swear to God, let's celebrate that. Let's be happy for them. That's a big achievement. College they can do on their own, anytime, anywhere, with absolutely different sets of, with absolutely no pressure, very different from high school. There's so much difference between high school and college in the West. In America, so much difference. The environment is not the same. The treatment is not the same. All right. So let me leave this high school thing there for now, since this is just a quick show my face show to my friends, loyalists, fans, and so I can run to a meeting that's coming up here, like I said. So let's do the high school thing. The other thing I want to talk about briefly has to do with the elders in Liberia, Mandingo elders, our elders, the Supreme Council, Supreme Elders, I'm told they are called, who recently made a decision about our situation in District 2. Ever since they made the decision, many talk show hosts have talked about it. We've heard different people addressing the issue from different standpoints. I'm not a judge to say who's right, who's wrong. That's not my job. That's not what I've come to do. I just have an opinion too. We are all opinionated, right? We all have opinions about things. So I'm not a judge. So I've listened to a few talk show hosts, I've heard even ordinary people. Some people think the elders they're right. Some people not so much. It is what it is. I guess it depends where you find yourself. But there are few things that caught my attention as it relates to that District 2 vis-a-vis the elders' decisions taken recently. The first thing that caught my attention has to do with the word elders. The elders, quote unquote elders, right? And that name caught my attention because, again, I'm reminded of elders in America. Elders, oh yeah, elders. You mean the elders for whom we postponed FEMUSA election for 2019 in Georgia? Elders, huh? You mean the elders who canceled that same FEMUSA election 2020? The elders? Yeah, elders. You mean the elders who talked to for this same District 2 issue, the elders who sat down and negotiated and talked everybody out of the race. The one time we had a chance to represent that District 2, the elders, the same or similar elders who sat down, and talked everybody out of the race based on some promises that were not kept. Elders? Yeah, the elders, yeah. You mean the elders, some of whom are related by some of the candidates by marriage, by, other affiliations, and yet didn't see the need to recuse themselves from making such important decisions? The elders? Yeah, the elders. You mean the elders who have not been able to reconcile their people, their children, on many variety issues, many different issues? Are those elders we're talking? Yes, the elders. Okay, so I think that the whole issue of elders, I think we are handling it very wrongly. We are, because it is becoming very clear now that our elders, with all due respect to their status, their age, the role they play in our life, but there are certain things that they just do not understand. And this thing, political decision making, is definitely one of those things. When we talking elections, we talking selections, we talking primaries, we talking representation in government, I beg to differ. I think it's about time that we honor our elders in different ways, other than letting them make decisions on things that they do not understand. It's not helping us. It's not helping us. Because if they understood, the issues at stake in District 2, Liberia, I'm speaking, I'm sure they would have either delayed their decision or made a different kind of decision. What they fail to understand, in my opinion, is that the tax that was put before them wasn't just about naming somebody. It wasn't just about saying, like everyone else stay the course, this person is going to represent them. That was so easy. That was an easy thing to say. It's unfortunate that they saw their responsibility, their tax, as just that. Because what really needs to happen for us to take back District 2 from Jimmy Smith and the likes would be not only to have probably one of us stay in the race, but even more important, to have the rest of the candidates campaign for that one. Did you understand that? Let me repeat that. What needs to happen, and the tax the elders had before them, in my opinion, was to not only make sure that one person run, but even more important was for them to have ensured that all of the other people will be comfortable with their decision enough, so much so that they will come and rally around that one person that would have been named or selected to come and campaign for that one to the very end of the election. And the way to do that, in my opinion, I think meeting with individual candidates, or individual aspirants, and they're not candidates yet, meeting with individual aspirants to really sit down with them, elders, versus individual aspirants, to really have this serious conversation with options, serious dialogue with them. It would have been a good start. I'm not saying it would have been the solution, but that would have been a good beginning. But for them to have met, for the elders to have just met amongst themselves, granted, they met with the aspirants at least once or twice, and then for them to have met behind closed door and come out, came up a decision, and then started calling people around, other aspirants, to say this is what we came up with. I think that was a serious mistake. And you don't have to believe me to say so it was a serious mistake. Look at what's happening. It appears as though that their decision actually energized some of the other aspirants, instead of deterring them from either sitting still or joining their favorite candidate in campaign style. No. Since their decision was made, in my as far as I've been hearing, only brother Mohammed Sisse, SMS, our brother who ran the last time, only him, I understand, has decided to back down, in support of the Supreme Elders chosen candidate. But the rest of the candidates, as far as I know, are even more energized now than they ever were. They are determined to campaign and campaign hard. They are determined to stay in the race to the very end. I don't want to term it as disrespect to the elders, to not that, but they feel, some of them I've spoken with, I mean, they feel that they were not listened to. They feel that the decision was not properly vetted. They feel that the elders didn't do them justice. And they feel that the list goes on and on and on. And the outcome for that, we know. The outcome will be we're not going to get District 2. It's plain and simple. Everybody knows that. Even the aspirants themselves, despite their opposition to the elders' decision, despite the renewed energy that they have started campaigning with, they know that the rate at which they are going, then with the number of us opposing one another, they know that the chances of us taking back District 2 in Montserrat County is almost zero. It's not likely. To the extent that the people would be opponent, the likes of Jimmy Smith, if he's going to run for re-election, they are celebrating the current development, the current events that are unfolding. Don't think they're not hearing, they're not here, they don't know what's happening. We have some Madingo people nowadays who are only Madingo by names, but in Aisha, in art, what they do, what they say, what they think is more aligned with people that are against us than the people with us. So everything that we talked, everything that we dream, we plan, they know it as much as we do. They've been informed. The guy informed us among us. Unfortunately, their informers are some of us. I mean, some of our own people, I meant to say. So as we are plenty, they are plenty. As we fight among ourselves, they celebrate that because they know we are done. They know we are done. They know that. Now, mind you, District 2, it's just one of at least 3 districts that I know, or maybe 4 districts that I know, that are, facing similar challenges, right? Let me put it that way. So now that the elders and the supreme elders, the supreme part that really, you know, mean, don't get me wrong, not the candidate, but the way the decision was made. That's where we are, right? So what are they going to do with District 12 between Brother Amara Fofana and B.N. Kamara? Is it the same supreme elders? Because they are supreme because they are the Mandingo elders for all of Liberia. That's my understanding, right? So have to make decision from elder traditional point of view. We'll again have to make decision between Brother Amara Fofana and B.N. Kamara, our man, Bill Clinton, right? Bill Clinton. That means these same elders, supreme elders, we have to make similar decision in District 18 between Sanusi Keita and some of the other brothers and even a sister that we've heard will be coming forward to contest against or for District 18, where Sanusi intends to run. That means these same supreme elders will have to make decision between Amara Kone and Mohamed Dukle, former FEMUSA president in Guapolo County senatorial race. And if their first decision, the one they've made so far as relates to District 2, if that is what it is, if that the way that's been challenged, the way that's been analyzed and disapproved of, if you ask me, I wonder how they'll make those other decisions differently. Maybe, just maybe, these senior elders might even be confronted with making decision in Kwadu Boni, the district, like when the time comes. Between Brother Sekou Kwale, I don't know if he still intends to run. That's my understanding, and some of our other brothers who intend to run there. In other words, anywhere there are more than one of us contesting, these supreme elders will be called upon to provide some sort of compromise, some sort of harmonizing solution, a solution that should not just please one side or the other, but a solution that will make us to come together and campaign for one of us instead of us opposing each other. They have a huge tax, but I'm not sure if they realize that, because if the date, I'm very definitely sure, again, this District 2 decision, they would have looked at it a little more carefully. They would have looked at it a little more carefully in a lot more serious term. Because the consequences of their decision, they should have looked at it beyond District 2. They should have. And they could have. Anyway, the time is of essence. So let me hopefully we can find time and revisit these topics again. I'm just running through them, just make a quick stop with these topics. But yeah, District 2, it's a mess in terms of political decision made recently by our elders. I think, quite frankly, it's about time that, like I said, that our elders we fight. council. Interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. So, Mr. Two people, we are watching, eagle eyes. So we will keep checking in every now and then. We'll keep checking it, and see how things turn out. But I know, just as well as you do, that unless some things change and change quickly, if things remain the way they are, there's absolutely no way we're getting District 2. You can forget that. We'll go to the pool, waste our time, and come by again and be even more angry, more upset with one another. And then we'll start to have commentaries after the fact. What if? What if? What if? That's what we do best. We act before we think, instead of thinking before acting. So let's talk Liberia 2023 general election. Historically, Liberia has multiple political parties. That was true then, it's true today, it'll probably be true tomorrow. There are several political parties. But the one good thing about next year's election, though, is that despite multitude of political parties, despite I'm not sure how many presidential aspirants will be there. We know enough, we know a good number of them already, but we are told more to come. But despite all of that, you would agree with me that next year, comes October of next year, presidential and general elections, there are only 3 choices in Liberia. That election that will come next year, it has only 3 choices. So don't be fooled, don't be carried away by all the political parties. Next election, we'll either see Judge Weah re-elected for a second term. That's a choice. I don't want to say first. That's the first choice. Or Omer Joseph Boakai, former VP, will become president. That's the second choice. Or Alexander Cummings will be elected as president. Third choice. 3 choices. The presidency of Liberia comes next October election. Those are the 3 names. That's why it centers around. I don't think there's going to be any injury or nothing. It will be if it centers around those 3 individuals. So if you are like me, who is undecided and don't know where to throw your support, because when it comes to politics in Liberia or in Africa as a whole, we don't support people just for their platform. We support them because we want to first make sure that they are electable, and we want to make sure that when they get elected, what's in it for me? In African politics, it's always about me. How well do I relate to that individual? Does that individual know my name? Can that individual give me a job? To put it plainly. So if you are in that situation, well, at least you know not to focus on 15, 20, 5, 10 candidates. I just told you, the 3 choices are either Weah, Boakai, or Cummings. Those are the 3 choices next year. One of those 3 will be the president after October of next year, will be elected president in October of next year. And I have said over and again that despite everything that the CDC government has done and continue to do, despite the rice shortage in Liberia, despite the extreme difficulties that our people are going through, President Weah still remains by far the most popular candidate in Liberia. That is the truth. You don't have to like him. President Weah on the ballot against any single individual, single Liberian politician, on any day, any night, any evening, President Weah will beat them flat. Honestly speaking, the best choice the opposition has got is to team up. That's why CPP was so vital. And if the CPP is going to come back and relive, then they better do so sooner rather than later. Make no mistake, President Weah, despite his incompetence, his shortcomings, despite his booger dances, despite his album releases, despite his missteps, he's still very popular with the Liberian people. That is the truth. That is the truth. So if you were to even throw your support behind President Weah for next year election, I wouldn't do it. I'm not going to do that. But if you were to do that, you would not be wrong, because he still has a great chance of being re-elected. So when I hear Eugene Fagon say that me supposed to campaign, no, you don't campaign Eugene Fagon. President Weah has a lot of campaigners. Sometimes the masses, the grassroots supporters, they are there. There are people who are hungry in Monrovia, but they will almost cut your neck off if you dare say anything wrong about President Weah. They are there. It's like the Donald Trump people in America. The celebrity factor. Donald Trump is celebrity, apprentice, you name it. President Weah, of course, world-class celebrity, soccer star. You can't take that away from the man. Do we want to see Liberia move to a different direction? You bet. Do we want to see someone more up to the task, someone who we believe can put Liberia back on the map politically, developmental-wise, and in other ways? Absolutely. Do I believe that President Weah can do better than what he's showing us already? Absolutely not. I don't think President Weah has any new ideas. If he's re-elected, he got no new ideas to bring to the people. Everything that he knows about leadership, we've seen it. Everything. I would think he got no new ideas. So when he said in his inaugural remark that he was going to ensure that the Liberians are no longer spectators to their own economies, but rather they will be participants, he meant to say. I think, I'm not to today's date, most Liberians are confused about that. Maybe he didn't even like the idea of Liberians, being spectators. He wanted them completely out of the field, so they don't even get to see the economy, let alone participate in it. Because you call Liberia today, you don't have to, I don't know, you don't have to call. I know they call you. Like almost every few minutes, the phone is buzzing. Everybody is crying. Everybody is complaining of this hardship. And I've heard people say here, oh, I mean, Liberia. But let's fix it, bro. Until Liberia is doing well, some of us will not do so well here. Until the folks can start doing well in Liberia, at least a full meal, their daily burn, afford their children's school fee, afford to pay their rents and other basic necessities of life. Until then, we are not in peace. And you can't blame them, because if the situation was reversed, if we were there and they were here, it'd be the same. That's why we have all got to rally around people to push for probably a different direction in Liberia, a direction that will improve the economic situation of our people, a direction that will definitely, and by doing so, that will be a direction that will stabilize the country in terms of peace and security, the rule of law. So you see, sometimes people think that I've even heard this administration and some prominent members of the administration bragging about we kept the peace. Of course, you did, but only to the extent that you define peace. See, peace is not just the absence of guns. Peace is not peace. You can't define peace to simply means that people are not shooting at each other. How can you possibly brag about having maintained the peace when almost on a weekly basis bodies being found around the city? Mysteriously. How can you brag about having maintained peace when starvation, hunger, killing the people? How is it a peace when people cannot go out of their homes after 8, 9 p.m. at night? Self-imposed curfews. How can you? How can you brag? How? Just how? I wonder. I truly wonder when good men or people you think ought to know better will sit down, and just make sweeping statements without even putting any thought into it. Look at Morovia, for God's sake. Look at Liberia, a country that was once almost a chosen country in the South region. It is that same country today that today, as we speak, there's several people, several families have ordered bag of rice from Guinea. Show that those three names I mentioned earlier, Cummings, Barkai, Weir, will be the people that will be uh, applauding for next year's election. I'm not quick to jump on any side or the other. I'm definitely not going to the government side because the government has got too many people already to the point where I don't think they need any new people. They don't need. I mean, they got the people they need. So I don't think they are recruiting. They don't have any openings, so to speak. Those that are recruiting, when it comes to Cummings and Barkai, and even for those people like Barkai now, like it's funny how Barkai himself hasn't been elected yet, but the bureaucracy around him is beginning to be so complex. The security details. When Barkai comes to America now, VP Barkai, it's harder to see him now than I would say sometimes to see Joe Biden. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that Brown people would do. They're building so much fences around the man already. And here's the other thing. A lot of the things that have gone wrong and even continue to go wrong. What time is it? I got a meeting coming up. Okay, continue to go wrong. In Liberia, many people will argue are not done by Weir himself, but the people he hired, the people he surrounded himself with. If that is true, then trust me, Omer Baka is not going to be that much different. Look at the kind of people, the campaign team that Cummings recently announced. Look at that team. Look at the people Baka got himself surrounded with. It'll be the same way. Everybody will come with their own group of, you name them, and they all come with one mindset. unfortunately, for Liberia, which is, this is your time. This is our time, they say. Our time, yo. So you either make it now or you are forever cursed. You whatever. Very sadly for Liberia, not very many of now you hardly find a very honest public servant. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's hard to find. They all come to power. They all gravitate towards power with different mindset. A mindset that favor that put their personal agendas first and not Liberia. Somebody who lived in the West for decades could not build a kitchen. At the end of the day, I have reached a conclusion that despite President Weir's popularity, I think a different course, anybody but President Weir next year, in my opinion, could prove, to be. Well, let's look. I know we can't be experimenting people. It doesn't, like every time we try somebody, maybe somebody new, and they come and we are disappointed. Then what? But now we know that our celebrity president has reached his point of diminishing return. This is contrary to all the beliefs that the country people have, the ordinary people. Oh, the man has contact. The man has former world best. The man got international contact. His presidency will bring this, will bring that, will bring that. Even soccer, where he got his popularity, didn't fail to flourish under his administration. To the point where SKD, the lone major stadium in Liberia, was disqualified during his regime. And Liberia has gone nowhere in soccer. You would think that, at least if nothing else, but a man who got his popularity, his wealth, his fame, everything that he can boast of, the man who got that from the soccer pitch, you would think that of all things, soccer would have flourished under him. Maybe, just maybe, Lone Star would have gone far better doing his term than any other time. Maybe, just maybe, Liberia would have vied to host African Cup of Nations. At least, how do you do that? When you basically removing Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court bench, tampering with the rule of law, the justice system. When businesses, investors don't feel safe, don't feel protected, don't feel that their investments can be protected in Liberia. How do you do that? How do you do that when you can dismiss alleged corrupt? So did President Weir really have to wait till the U.S. Treasury Department put sanction on McGay before he was suspended and subsequently accepted his resignation? How long did our people complain about, this man being corrupt? How long? To the point where the man himself.
You could have your phone thing, all the folks stealing the money. But even if I see the money again, like Brentford, I good thing I do. Because Ali, I'm not seeing that carrying it in Europe.
Even if you're stealing the money and getting a good thing he's doing. It was glaring, right? It was glaring. It was right before public, right in public, plain view. Anyway, I've said time and again that when it comes to Liberia, there's never a shortage of things to talk about. There are always things to talk about unless you choose not to. Thankfully, almost the vast majority of our youth are all talk show hosts now. Everybody got some kind of platform somewhere, and they are talking about it to the point where I wonder who's listening when we are all talking. So who's doing the listening? But talking, I think, is another way of listening because the fact that you're saying it means that you heard it somewhere, you read it somewhere, and so let's keep talking. Let's keep working together for Liberia, our country. And let's hope that better days for Liberia will come sooner rather than later. Let's keep hoping for that. Lastly, before I jump out of here to go to meeting, has to do with, I don't know how many of you heard about this recent drug bust that took place in Liberia. The over 100 million US dollar worth of drugs that were seized, confiscated, that were my computer is running low. Don't close it. Okay, that's fine. I got to end quick. Okay, I didn't bring my charger because I didn't think I was going to be here this long. But quickly, I'll just end the show quickly. So again, drugs in Liberia, is that even a news? That's not news, right? Because we learned back down the line that a dog biting a man, they say that's not news. Only when if the reverse happens, if a man bites the dog, then that is the news, right? But drugs in Liberia, who doesn't know that